It's not a Big Ten game yet, but can it be? Oregon and Washington play in a Game of the Year candidate, and it might not be the last time these two squads face off this season.
From LA to Piscataway, all Big Ten all year long. This is Big Ten 10.
A couple of former Big Teners made a huge impact in this game, in this special reaction here to this matchup of the Ducks and the Huskies here, normally reserved on this channel for Big Ten talk. These teams are going to be in our beloved conference next year. I had to take a look at this one. All of the hype, all of the buildup for these two programs, and wow, did this matchup live up to the hype and then some. When we talk about those former Big Teners that really made a big difference, how about Bucky Irving, the former Minnesota Golden Gopher running back, ran behind a really good offensive line a couple of years back for the Gophers. He's got another really good offensive line that he's running behind in the Ducks. 127 yards and a touchdown. And man, there were points in this game, most of the game in fact, where Oregon just ran it. You combine him with Jordan James as well. The Ducks were really able to establish their ground game, and Oregon, I think, was the more balanced of the two offenses, even though Dylan Johnson did a really good job providing balance in the run game for Washington. But Oregon, I thought, was better in the trenches. They were better in the run game, but Washington just making some plays in the end. And of course, the other former Big Tenor, former Indiana Hoosier quarterback, Michael Penix Jr., for my money, he is the leader in the clubhouse for the Heisman Trophy. 302 yards and 4 touchdowns. When I look at Michael Penix, and I really watch him because I've watched him on and off since he's left Indiana, but I definitely haven't watched him as much as when he was doing things for the Hoosiers. Holy cow, this is a different guy. Man, has he taken big strides. Man, has he taken big improvements. And I know, look, I've seen the stats. I've seen the highlights. But watching him for an entire game, you really appreciate what he has become in Kalen DeBoer's system here at the University of Washington. His quick release can be lethal. Oregon early in this game, they got pressure on him a couple of times, and I'll talk about the pressure here later in this video because Oregon kind of ramped it up and got home a little bit more, and you saw, he was a little bit banged up, Michael Penix was, as this game kind of went on. But that quick release can be lethal. No Jalen McMillan in this game, and it just spoke to what he was able to do, really spoke to him and his talent as a quarterback, and it also spoke to what Washington really has as a football team. Of course, you look at Jalen Roma Dunze, man. He is quickly becoming the best wide receiver in all of college football here right now, but that quick release can be lethal against a team when, hey, you got to get in the face of Michael Penix to disrupt him. But when you have receivers that can get in as open as quickly as Washington's can and are as talented as the Huskies are at wide receiver, that is a lethal combination when they can get the ball in space quickly and then make a play from that. Boy, Washington. So I'm going to go into this. There's a couple of things that I want to talk about with Oregon. I thought Oregon looked the part in terms of being a future Big Ten team. When we talk about a Big Ten team, you talk about good on defense and you talk about good in the trenches. And I thought Oregon was that, especially in the trenches. This team was able to run the ball sometimes at will against Washington. They were the more balanced offense between the two teams in this football game. When you take a look at the run game, late goal line stands before Washington got their final drive and was able to do what they did, but a big time goal line stands and making that comeback toughness. A gritty football team Oregon was, and their run game and their balance on offense really showed that throughout this game. We got to talk about the aggressiveness of Dan Lanning. There are some positives, and of course, there's one big negative when it comes to the aggressiveness of Dan Lanning. I didn't mind the first 2 fourth down calls early in this game. One at the end of the first half. Look, you're playing a team in Washington that is explosive as the Huskies are. You got to get touchdowns. You can't get field goals. Dan Lanning's a smart guy, and I think he figured that out pretty early in this game. And then, of course, the second one, you saw he had confidence in his team. And you got to imagine that the players really feed off of that confidence. They feed off of that aggressiveness that Dan Lanning has for his football team. But then let's talk about the third one. You got a fourth down towards the middle of the field. You're trying to put the game away. I understand that. You want to have that killer instinct. As a team, you got to have that killer instinct to put the game away. But that defense for Oregon was playing good, right? I thought Oregon was in a situation where if you can pin Washington back, and we know how explosive the Huskies are, but if you can pin Washington back considering where you were at time-wise in that game, that you could make a play, that you could make enough plays on defense to halt them from scoring. I'm not sure where Dan Lanning was on that. Did he just want to have the killer instinct to put the game away in that situation? Or did he fear that Washington was going to end up scoring like they did, no matter where they were on the football field? Very curious to see what Dan Lanning has to say about that one. But you got to appreciate the aggressiveness and the confidence. I love Dan Lanning. I've watched a lot of interviews and pressers from him recently, kind of in preparation for watching this game. And that's a Big Ten head football coach right there. I love the intensity, the aggressiveness, the confidence that Dan Lanning has. But maybe it was just one too much. Maybe he just went across the line one time too many in this football game. I said it at the top of the video. I don't know if this is the last time that these two teams are going to meet. Oregon, on the road, a 3-point loss to Washington. If Oregon runs the table in the Pac-12, and it's going to be no easy task to do that, but if Oregon runs the table, they meet Washington as an 11-1 team in the Pac-12 championship game in Las Vegas. This is still a team that can get to the playoff. I firmly believe that right now. I firmly believe that. Last thing here, I think one big key to this game in a victory for Washington, everybody was talking about their passing attack, and their passing attack was outstanding. They were going to get theirs, even though Oregon had a good defense. I want to give a big shout out to Dillon Johnson in this run game. He provided just enough balance for Washington where Oregon had to maybe second guess some things where, now that running game's going a little bit, they've got some balance where they can't just send everybody back and defend this pass game. They had to keep an eye out for Dillon Johnson. He provided just enough balance in this football game for Washington to come out on top. What an instant classic. I cannot wait for these two teams to join the Big Ten. If we get games like this with teams like Oregon and Washington and USC and UCLA, sign me up, because this is excellent football. I want to hear what you guys think. Leave your thoughts in the comments below about everything Oregon and Washington. Can Oregon get back to the Pac-12 championship game? Can this still be a college football playoff, a national championship team? And how excited are you to get this type of caliber of football in the Big Ten next season? Yes, I know a lot of these guys are going to be gone, unfortunately. All right, I'm Big Ten Ted. Thanks for watching this special reaction, and we'll see you in the next one.
Thanks for watching Big Ten Ted, where it's all Big Ten all year long. Make sure to like the video to spread the word of Big Ten Ted to the masses, and subscribe to the channel for updates on Big Ten content that drops every day.